You're listening to Passing Time, a Detroit Lions podcast. We're one pride and all grit, with a passion for Detroit Lions football. Whether you're between meetings, between classes, sitting in traffic, or just relaxing at home, if you have time to pass, pass it with Passing Time. Detroit Lions Talk.
Hey, welcome back. We're on the clock and you're passing time with us, a Detroit Lions podcast. This is episode 19.
19.
I'm Rob.
I'm Brian.
And let's get fired up here.
Let's go.
This is game week, right? So, Warren Buffett's got a great line about this, all right? Being the friend of a wonderful business and the enemy of mediocrity, okay? What it means is simple. The longer you stick with something good, the better it gets. Like us, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we're at right now, right? And it's kind of where the Detroit Lions are at. They put in work. They invested in the right places year after year. The compound effect is starting to happen, Brian. We're starting to feel it a little bit,
Starting
right?
to feel it.
Right? So, similar with this pod, episode 19. It's starting to compound. We're starting to get traction. It's because of you. So please, comment, like, subscribe, follow, listen. Tell your friends about us.
Yeah, let's get this thing rolling.
Help us get on the algorithm a little bit.
Yeah.
Today, we're going to take you through a lot of Detroit Lions talk. We're going to start off hot with Detroit Lions talk, so stay with us at least in the beginning. We're going to talk about game previews.
Yep.
What do you think about that?
Well, it's game week.
It's game week,
let's talk about the Lions versus Packers.
I know Brian's fired up, right?
Yep.
We're going to talk around the NFL. We're going to talk around the North. Bill is like, he's fired up, and he wants to deliver some content, almost enough to go on camera.
Almost close. He's close. Close.
We're fired up, so let's not hold back here.
Let's go.
A couple leash dogs here. We're on the leash here. Let's get right into it. All right.
Let's go.
All right. So why not start off around the North with you got the Vikings and you got the Bears, but you got the Lions, you got the Packers to kick off week one. So how great is that?
I mean, we're getting right into divisional play from week one, and part of me is like, I like to ease into the water a little bit, but we're just jumping right in.
Sometimes you got to get the boys wet. You can't get them half wet. You can't get them 3/4 wet. Then you jump out. But if you just jump right in,
we're all in right now, ready to rock and roll.
After that. Yeah. So a lot of news with the Packers, right? The Packers. They're trying to win the offseason national championship from the Bears.
Yeah, well, they're taking that one right now. I mean, that was a huge move.
What move are you talking about?
Huge move. Come on. I mean, if you're watching this thing, and we know, the Micah Parsons to the Green Bay Packers for a Kenny Clark and 2 first-round picks is a huge move.
Definitely a huge move. And don't get it twisted, all right? The Packers are instantly better because of this move. Near term, there's no doubt about it. Though, Kenny gave the Lions fits over the years.
When you think about their run defense, Kenny Clark was the center of that. I mean, literally. But he was also somebody that was tough. I mean, he was giving Graham all that he could handle last year, and we suffered from that for a little bit. Now losing that gives me a little bit of glimmer of hope, at least for week one.
So what do they pick up? I mean, you got on the edge, you got Rashawn Gary, who's getting a lot of attention and was an impact player, but a relatively neutralized impact player because the defense could hone on, or the offense could hone on focusing on him. And now he's going to be kind of off in space doing his own thing, and all eyes are on the other side of the ball.
Right. I mean, when you move from the DN1 to the DN2 or the complement, it's going to improve your play. It's at least going to open you up to more one-on-ones. You might get the lesser of the two tackles. You ultimately you should reap the benefits of having Micah Parsons on your team at the very least.
Yeah. So Micah Parsons is worth a former first round, solid, 6-year vet at defensive tackle and 2 first-round picks. I think that's a bargain for picking up a game breaker like Micah Parsons.
But then you're also paying him $47 million a year. And you're not looking at your quarterback and a DN making 90 plus million a year. That's a huge chunk of that cap.
And the Packers like to build through the draft, right? So you take out 2 first-round picks from the Packers. If you're a team with cap issues, the draft is your friend, right? Because you're plugging guys in, and you know what they're you can plug in their salary right there for 4 or 5 years in the first round, and that's a helpful thing to build around. When you don't have that, it becomes a little bit more difficult to control that cap.
Absolutely. And now you're also thinking about the fringe players that you would get from free agency and the limitations you're going to get from those guys. The Lions, you see us doing it year after year. But now the Packers are going to be forced to not looking at that middle range free agent, but the lesser of those free agents. Maybe they'll start taking more flyers on guys that are coming off of injuries that they can get 1-year deals with. But those guys are liabilities. I mean, you guys know we've done it here in Detroit for a few years now too. So
yeah. So we're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit. Let's actually get into game talk.
All right, so let's talk about the game. Let's pause a little bit on Micah Parsons.
We have more of that later on. We'll punt that out a little bit into the the third, fourth quarter of this podcast. So let's specifically talk about the Lions offense versus the Packers defense. Now that we're on topic,
sure. Well, I mean, I like the Lions offense. I mean, again, if we talked about this week after week, is that the Lions are coming off a stellar 2024 season, top in the league, and they didn't lose any weapons. I mean, they lost Tim Patrick, but you gained Isaac Tesla and a healthy Khalif Raymond and a little bit better JMO and a refined Amon-Ra and a healthy a healthy Sam Laporta. I mean, we've got guys, and then that's not even talking about the backfield. So our offense versus the Green Bay defense, I like what we're seeing. I like the matchups we're going to see. And the reality is in game one, Micah might not be as big of an impact considering he hasn't been in a training camp in Dallas until he got traded. I mean, he's practiced a couple times now.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to downplay the loss of Tim Patrick. I'm a big Tim Patrick guy, but like, it's kind of like talking about your classic car collection. I mean, like, hey, I got this 1969 Mustang. I got this 68, Corvette. All right. I got a El Camino from 1985. Oh, by the way, I got a 1996 Ford Taurus. And that Taurus is Tim Patrick. You don't bring that Taurus up when you're talking about your classic car collection, right? Like, we've moved on. We've added, it doesn't have to be a classic car collection. What we've added is a 25 Tesla, right? Which is very fitting into that whole segment because we've actually upgraded on our Tim Patrick, Taurus.
100%. And our offense is humming. It's ready to go. It's going to move forward, whether John Morton does exactly what a Ben Johnson has done or he doesn't and he veers away. The reality is sometimes it's not just about the X's and O's. Sometimes it's about the Jimmies and Joes, right? We got the Joes. So
let's not shy away from the X's and O's, though. Look at Johnny Morton's resume. Like, the dude's been coaching for 30 years. He's been an offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, his first job he had to take was with the Jets during a down year.
Yeah.
And that's a tough gig to have. But he's a product of he's been coaching with Dan Campbell. He's been a Sean Payton disciple. Like, those guys are gonna get jobs, and like it's kind of shocking that this is his first retread job with the Detroit Lions.
And you hear this job that he was called into wasn't his only offer. You hear Justin Rogers posted this on Twitter saying that just after the Lions offered them the job down in Cabo, he also received another phone call from none other than the Chicago Bears. Okay. And from my understanding, the Denver Broncos were knocking on his door as well. So, like, having him, wanting him to be back. So the reality is he was a sought after and wanted individual at this position. And so we got him. He's ours. And I think Dan Campbell is loving the fact he really trusts John Morton, and we'll see what he can do.
Yeah, I mean, who knows what happened? It sounds similar to like Brian didn't have any offers out there as a free agent when he was a single man, and his wife Lisa was like, "Hey, Brian, you know what? Maybe I'll be with you." And he's like, "Well, I actually, you were just in the nick of time because I had Sarah and Amy, the homecoming queen from 1994, that were coming after me, but you got me just in time. So who knows what could have happened there?"
Oh man, Robin, his analogies, I love it.
So coaching staffs aside,
Yeah.
like we think this is going to be okay. It's maybe slightly overblown. We lost a very good coordinator in Ben Johnson.
Right.
We added a potentially very good coordinator in Johnny Morton.
And we'll see. Only time will tell.
But you said something about the Jimmies and the Joes. Like,
right.
Those remain pretty constant.
They're pretty constant. Our weapons are fierce on the Detroit Lions, and I think that we can attack in a couple different ways against the Green Bay Packers. One, I think the secondary outside of McKinney from Green Bay is limited. I think there's going to be a emphasis on covering over the top. So J-Mo might try to take the roof off, but that's going to open things up for guys like Amon-Ra and his route running and Sam Laporta in those spots. And you're still going to get crosses across the middle by Khalif Raymond and maybe even Isaac Tesla with packages. So I think our intermediate passing game is going to be stellar. And I think that we're going to have to take some shots. And from what you hear, John Morton likes to take his shots. So that's not to mention the fact that.
Oh, you guys talking about Jameson Williams?
No.
Oh.
We're going to talk about Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery coming up the middle.
Yeah. I mean, the fact of the matter is like you can just go on and go on and go on and go on, right? Like, and then this team represents the ability to take shots. And Ben Johnson took some shots. But if we're going to take a few more shots, one, it's going to stretch the defense a little bit. The defense is going to have to be a little bit longer, right? So it's going to open up Laporta. It's going to open up Montgomery. It's going to open up Gibbs. And if they can connect one or two times per game with J-Mo on a stretch play, like, it's just going to give the defense fits.
And not only will that impact week 1, but it's going to impact week 2, week 3, week 4, because other teams are having to start planning for that.
So the opposite side.
Yeah.
The Packers have the ability to get right after their quarterback and just basically throw a crowbar in your game plan because they are causing so much pressure that you are not allotted the amount of time for a quarterback that has to be a statue, sit back there and make his reads.
That's true, and those are things that we're going to have to consider. It sounds like Dan Campbell says we have a plan for a Micah Parsons and their D-line front. So we're going to have to see. But the reality, how many snaps is Micah going to get? Is he going to be a specialist on third down, or is he going to be an 80% of the plays? I don't think physically he's ready for that in his ramp up. And I know that Micah is a long-term investment for the Packers, not necessarily just a week 1 investment. So we'll see.
What are we expecting here? I think we are expecting, one, the starters didn't play any of the preseason games.
Yes.
I mean, at all. So I think there could be some getting familiar with things and getting on the same page a little bit. But I like the Lions' high-powered offense versus a Green Bay kind of relatively suspect defense with a new shiny toy.
I agree. I don't think we're going to necessarily be clicking on all cylinders right off the gate. We might have to knock a little bit of the rust off. But I think what we have on offense is going to outplay what the Packers have on defense.
And I think defense is typically going to be a little bit more ready. Though, if you're watching, the current game going on with Dallas and Philly, the offense has been, they've been scoring points. Game 1, we're recording this on Thursday night, and the offense came out hot. But typically, what you see is the offense takes a little bit of time to click, and the defense is usually a little bit more in sync. For game 1, game 2. But let's flip it to the other side of the football. Lions D versus the Packers offense.
I'll start with the fact that the Detroit defense is healthy. I mean, that's where I'm going to start, because with a healthy Detroit defense, we're going to cause some problems with other teams. We have a top 5 defense when everything's clicking, when everybody's healthy, when things are rolling. Um, and I expected that to come out right out of the gate. So,
Well, the national media doesn't think the Lions have a top 5
from
defense,
my
right? Like,
understanding, who are these guys? Right? We don't. These guys are nobodies.
okay, all right. So let's go over the Packers offense, and to be fair, Jordan Love was dealing with a lower leg injury that led to an upper body injury
Yeah.
last year and wasn't fully healthy. And the Packers never felt like they were totally clicking on all cylinders, right? They got Josh Jacobs, which is probably a
Yeah.
top 5 running back in the NFL right now.
Yep.
They've added a first round wide receiver, like a guy with potential game breaking speed. So there is some potential problems. They have 2 solid tight ends. Like there's a lot of problems that the Packers could
Sure.
give. And LaFleur, who's a kind of a little bit of a savant on the offensive side of the football.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to downplay the fact that the Packers have players and they have some quality there, but I just it's if you look at the Packers offense and compare it to even just the Lions offense, like the weapons that they have just don't match what the weapons have for the Lions. And there's a couple of positions that may. I mean, you can have an argument that Tucker Kraft is a solid tight end, and he may be a little bit better than Sam Laporta, but there's the argument that he's not. Right? You look at
Whoa. We're not. There's no debate here. Sam Laporta is the better tight end. Tucker Kraft is a solid tight end that has a lot to prove to be mentioned with a Sam Laporta.
Okay.
Like we're talking about tiers.
What about Jacobs? I mean, would you put him in the same realm as Jahmyr Gibbs or a David Montgomery?
I would say you put Jacobs right up there with our backs, but he's got to run it by himself, right? Like
sure.
He's his own guy. There's not a thunder and lightning.
Yep, change of pace
to Green Bay. So, hats off, total respect, Jacobs. You're a dog, right? But you don't have a Sonic. You don't have a Knuckles, right? Like you're just you. And the Lions have the ability to keep guys fresh and churn those legs. And
100%.
So like,
I agree. I'm with you. What about a Golden versus a St. Brown?
Well, again, Golden isn't invited to hold St. Brown's jock yet in the locker room. Okay.
Yeah.
So what we have with Golden is a really fast guy. I mean, if you want to give him comps right now, you got maybe a Xavier Worthy type comp as his kind of maybe towards his ceiling of his rookie year, and that's a solid game breaking guy. Okay. Mm-hmm. But you got a lot of guys like John Ross. You got a lot of guys that have come up in the NFL that have relied on their 40 time to get draft capital that haven't done anything in the NFL. So like there's a lot to be seen right now. Yep. And LaFleur should scheme you open. If you're good, you should get schemed open.
Sure. And you have your plethora of other wide receivers, Watson not being one of them because he's out right now, Reed dealing with some banged up foot or Jones type issues. And so you wonder, where do they fit in? Are they a comparison to a JMO? Are they going to be able to play as high of a quality as that and take the top off? I don't know.
Yeah,
right.
No doubt. And the Packers rely on it's a multiple read offense. It's a complicated offense, and the Lions are healthy with Hutchinson.
Yep.
And they're healthy with Davenport. They're relatively healthy up the middle. Like, I mean, Tyleek's kind of, if we're thinking that he's going to be.
He's healthy, but he's just green, right? But what you don't have what you have with less of experience with Tyleek, you have in nothing but experience with DJ Reed.
Yeah. So the Lions have the ability to be pretty disruptive on the defensive line. The linebackers they're back and they're more experienced. Which is good and bad. We got one guy that's a veteran that's getting a little bit older, and we got one guy in Campbell that's probably getting towards his prime right now, right? Like
and you're not mentioning Derek Barnes, who is now coming back and healthy, and I think is a pretty important piece to the versatility that this defense is going to have.
I think the Packers offense versus the Lions defense is the most interesting.
It's going to be interesting
chess game that you're going to see, and I think both sides are going to win some here.
Yep.
The Packers are going to score, right? Like they're going to get the Lions a little bit, but are they going to have the Hutch rule in play?
I don't think they're going to allow the Hutch rule to be in play.
So without that being in play, it's a game disruptor. That's the ability to really disrupt the whole time of the offense. And Love kind of coming off an early season injury last year, he doesn't want to be in that same spot this year. It could be very interesting.
And I think Hutch is just ready. Like, he is ready to play football. He is ready to get after it. And I'm all jacked up, just ready to see him and what he's able to do.
Yeah. So home field advantage.
That's going to be huge. I mean, Lambeau is that iconic field in all of the NFL. And their fans are going to be in. They're going to show out. It's going to be a tough place to play. But who travels well are Detroit fans.
So let me just take a pause there, because last year when the Lions went to Green Bay, the Green Bay Packers, they have a season ticket. They have an interesting situation. They have multiple series of season tickets. Part of their season tickets were when Green Bay played in Milwaukee. There was a series of season tickets, and those are not the loyal Green Bay ticket holders. And last year, those ticket holders had the Detroit Lions game. And those ticket holders are more susceptible to selling their tickets. So when we saw all the Honolulu Blue there last year, it was because it was a Milwaukee game.
Okay.
Now it's a Green Bay game, right? And those Green Bay Packer fans, like, they would rather just throw their tickets in the fire than sell them online to Lions fans. So I don't think I would expect to see as much Honolulu Blue as much as we want to be there, and as much as like people are willing to go up there and pay for those tickets. Don't be disappointed if you see a little bit more green and gold or yellow this year than Honolulu Blue taking over that stadium.
I agree with you. I mean, I don't think you're wrong, but I also think that the Green Bay Packers are so desperate to win this game that you're right. I think that their Packers are going to do all it takes in order to help their squad.
Yeah, I mean, we were the little brother of the Packers for years, getting beaten up, getting spit on, getting titty twisters. And for the last 4 years, we've reversed courses. It's like your little brother drank his, he got out the skim milk, he drank his whole milk, and he got bigger and stronger and faster and more bitter than you. And now we're the bigger brother, and you know what? We're doing the snake bites the last 4 years.
Listen, man, the Lions have had the Green Bay Packers number for the best, 6 of 7? So it's telling. Right now, the Lions are the team to beat in this scenario, not the Packers. And I think all the pressure is on the Packers going into this game.
Yeah, and so 1-800-GAMBLER. If you're using us for gambling advice, like, don't do it. And we're gonna give it out, but like right now, Lions kind of going into this game being slight dogs. It just feels like Vegas is kind of reading the national narratives, and this feels like a chance to jump money line Detroit Lions football right now.
100%. And I mean, if you looked at some of the past numbers, the Lions do pretty good against the spread. So,
well, the last 3 years, the Lions may be the best team against the spread in the NFL, which would have been great news 3 years ago, because we all could have been sitting in a better place making some money. So let's jump into the kind of next topic here.
Sure.
On the Detroit Lions is Brian. Let's discuss a few areas that. What do we think we do know?
We know that the Lions offense has weapons. We know, and we've talked about the plethora of weapons that is at Jared Goff's disposal.
So how would you rank these weapons? If I had to kind of say, hey, Brian, give me in order, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Where would you give me, 1 through 5 on and taking Jared Goff out of that is
Okay.
kind of a distributor of the football.
Sure. I think your number one has got to be Gibbs. I think the run game is probably the most important piece of the Detroit Lions offense. It makes the Lions offense run because Jared Goff plays so much better when he has the ability to run play action. He has the ability to go over the top that way. It keeps your backers tight. It keeps your safeties from just dropping out, and it allows us to control a game. So Gibbs is number one, and I do believe that Gibbs has now moved from a 50-50 split with Monty to probably closer to a 60-40. Sure. And that could be a little bit different. It could be more 55-45. But the reality is Gibbs is a star. And anytime that he gets the ball, I mean, he can take it to the house. So I think he's probably number one.
Did you say something that maybe people don't know? Did you say that Gibbs is a what? What did you say? Gibbs is a what?
He's a star.
He's a star.
He's a star.
Yeah, he's a star boy. All right, there's a song, all right, out there,
Yeah.
and that's Gibbs is doing a little shuffle right now, and that's who he is. All right, so I think he's going to introduce himself to the broader media this year.
100%. I think number two is St. Brown. I think St. Brown is your steady Eddie. He's your guy that is a leader in the locker room. He is a leader on the practice field, and he's a leader on the game field. And he is going to be your anytime you need it, he'll give it to you. 3rd and 3, he'll give you 4. 3rd and 8, he'll give you 9. So these are things that I think are just consistencies. His route running ability, his hand catching, he is the man in contested catches, and ultimately he finds separation. So, I think he's our number 2 weapon for sure.
All right, so you got Gibbs 1.
Yep.
Yeah, Amon-Ra St. Brown 2.
Number 2.
All right.
Tricky thing now is where do you fit in these other 3? Because I'm looking at guys like JMO who could be unbelievably important.
Slot him here. Don't hedge here.
I'm not going to hedge. I'm going to say number 3 is JMO. JMO is number 3. Why? Because he can extend the field. He makes the field so much bigger and makes you spread out your defense. So our safeties are going to have to bracket and play over the top while corners are playing underneath. He is somebody who is going to be able to be a threat every single play, whether it's reverses to him or long, deep shots.
So that's interesting because 2 years ago, JMO wouldn't have made the top 5.
Nope.
Right? And last year, JMO probably would have been 4. So stock up 2 years in a row on JMO.
Yes.
All right.
So the tricky thing for me now is 4 and 5 because I think it could be a tie, if not
there's no ties.
A or B.
No, all right. No, there's no A and B's.
Then I'm just going to go for it. Number 4, I'm going to go with Monty.
Okay.
Because I think Monty is a dog of dogs. He is the guy that's going to grind out the end of a game. He's going to finish a game for you, and he is going to just lean on Monty because he's going to give you what you want.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And then number 5 is going to be Sam Laporta.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. So I agree with your list, except for I would flip-flop those last 2. I think Sam Laporta is in for a breakout year. I think this offense is going to have to, because of the offensive line, and Sam Laporta is finally he's healthy. He's back to, 2 years ago, Sam Laporta. I think he is just, and JMO stretching out the defense. I think you're going to see Laporta just have a huge impact in the game. Couple that with Gibbs playing a bigger role, whether it's 60, maybe it's 70%. I think Laporta, and I think Laporta is going to dust off that disrespect. If you compare him to Tucker Kraft, I think that's just straight up disrespectful right here. I think Tucker Kraft might have a kid tonight because he's going to show his wife what you said about him, and then she's going to be like, "Oh, if you're Laporta, like, let's go have a baby tonight." Yeah. But that's just not true.
Wow,
okay? That's just not true.
So I believe that Sam Laporta is important, but I also this might be disrespectful to Sam Laporta, and I'm sorry already right from the way. I think Sam Laporta is a luxury right now, and I think having guys like Monty who can give you the hard, grinding out, tough yards allows guys like Sam Laporta to reap the benefits. Having guys like Amon-Ra run his routes crisp and having to have that much more emphasis on him and JMO who takes the top off, it's going to allow Sam Laporta to reap the benefits. Having threats like Gibbs in the backfield is going to allow Sam Laporta to reap the benefits. I think, and this is going to be, again, I think guys like Tucker Kraft could have the same similar success on this offense. Maybe not necessarily as much, but because I think Sam Laporta is so talented. But I think he's definitely the fifth of this group.
Just a last second hedge.
Woo!
All right, so like Sam Laporta is going to be out 80 to 90% of the snaps, right? We talked about Gibbs being out there more. So Montgomery's going to take a slight step back. Just it's a numbers game, and they might double up here and there, but that's not going to be a sustainable thing. I would argue that Laporta being there to block when he needs to block, also to chip and run and get open. He does as much for the offense as almost anybody else out there.
We'll see.
And those short and intermediate routes, I mean, that's kind of what the Lions are lacking, right? Like they have a stretch guy in JMO.
Yeah.
They have a dynamic receiver in Amon-Ra St. Brown, but like he's not as tall, he's not as physical as Laporta. Laporta is he's just going to be a ultimate chess piece in the middle of that offense that can change the game, especially on kind of third and intermediate.
Hey, do I agree that he's an ultimate chess piece? Yes, 100%. But in this offense, he's the fifth chess piece.
All right, well, let's just go on record that Brian's a Laporta hater. And let's carry that water forward, all right? So I know there's some contracts coming up due. We'll see what Brad Holmes thinks, right?
For sure.
We'll see. All right, so what are we still trying to figure out, Brian? Like, what don't we quite know going into week one?
Well, I mean, obviously, coaching tendencies is something that's going to be very, very important to see and to just let play out. Because we're not going to know, and we might not know after week one or even week two. But going into that first quarter of the season, you're going to know by the end of that what guys like John Morton and Shepard are all about.
So, I mean, obviously Shepard's a player's coach, right?
Yeah.
And like he's been kind of going on record saying like he talks to his guys, is like, hey, what do you guys want to call? What do you feel comfortable? This is what I'm thinking. And I think that's really, really interesting, especially when you got a couple of veteran guys out there that have kind of been through it before. On the offensive side of the ball, I really think that it's going to be a very, very similar flavor. You hear about taking more shots. Maybe they take a couple more shots here and there. Maybe they tone down the trick plays.
Maybe.
But I think you're going to see a lot of similarities between Aaron Glenn and Kelvin Shepard and Ben McDaniel and little tafu there and Johnny Morton. I think you're not gonna see a lot of dissimilar things. I think you're gonna kind of roll out there and it's gonna be like, yeah, these are your Detroit Lions.
Listen, I think Kevin Shepard is a product of Aaron Glenn and that tree, and I think that he's going to have a lot of success.
What about Ben McDaniel? Do you want to
Ben McDaniel,
or do you want to talk about Mr. Johnson?
I might talk about Johnson. I think it's going to be very interesting to see because I am a true believer that this is a Dan Campbell offense.
Yeah.
I'm a true believer that Ben Johnson was a piece and an orchestrator of a Dan Campbell offense. I think that there was a bigger collaboration in this offense than just the credit that has been given to Ben O'Neill or Ben Johnson. Okay, so
not if you ask Ben Johnson. Though.
I agree.
He kind of says the well's deep, and his kind of.
Listen, I still think that Ben Johnson was a great coach. I thought he was creative. I think that his willingness to call more unpredictable calls on downs, third and long, and run the ball. Fourth and short, you're going empty. Things like this are more creative, and I think that keeps the defense off kilter. Is John Morton going to be the same? I don't know. That's why this is under what we don't know, right? And so, but what I ultimately will say is the plays, what we're going to do to set up plays later, and the offense itself is going to continue to run effectively with the tools we have, whether John Morton's there or someone else.
Yeah. So, Brian, you were in Newaygo. We filmed an episode.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So when we were in Newaygo, we spent some time around the lake, right? We had some pops, right? And oftentimes we would sit around at the end of the night and we'd sit around a fire, right?
Yes.
And Brian's a cigar guy, and I have a cigar once a year, and it's with Brian because he's like, hey, have a cigar. So we sit around, we around the fire at the end of the night. We have a couple pops, we put the kids to bed, we sing them kumbaya, we say our prayers, and we start talking, right? And a lot of this talk starts going back to like, man, like this is what I did in high school baseball or high school football, or this is what what Brian did in Division 14 college
Oh,
football.
cool. Yeah. Yeah.
And we get into this a little bit. And we start talking. We start talking about the good old days, right? So the point here is, do you think that in 20 years, Ben Johnson's talking about the good old days being the offensive coordinator of the Detroit Lions, and that's where he was feeling himself, or do you think that he's talking about being the head coach of the Chicago Bears?
Right now, the good old days are the Detroit Lions. In 15 years, I hope that he finds success somewhere, but it's not going to be in 2025 with the Chicago Bears.
Okay, all right, yeah. I guess it's a long way to figure out like
Yeah.
how you're feeling there. Health wise, we're the Lions, just like a lot of teams, they're thin in critical spots. I would say like an injury to the middle of the offensive line starts throwing up some red flags.
Sure.
Right? So that's something we don't know is like how we can backfill those positions because injuries are going to happen this year, and like that's going to happen. I mean, we're not going to panic because we know we're probably going to panic, but like hey, note to future self, like, don't panic too much because that's what's going to happen.
But that's going to happen, and you know that the backups for every team are not Pro Bowl guys, right? They're not Hall of Famers just waiting to come back to play a backup role. These guys are practice squad or backups for a reason, right? Yeah. They're going to try to fill a spot. They're going to try to like limit the risk and ultimately win a few games along the way.
Yeah. So health is going to play a role. Also, like fan expectations. Like, hey, we're coming off the backs of winning 15 games, right? Like, so that's really difficult for us fans when we like the front half of the schedule is really, really difficult.
Mm-hmm.
The back half looks like it eases up a little bit, and you never quite know. So how do we go into the front half of the schedule losing 4 or 5 games when last year we lost 2 games in the regular season? So a lot of it's going to be on us fans.
That's true. And if you listen to Dan Campbell, he talked to Galley, and they had a little interview. And part of his response there was last year he pushed so hard for that number 1 seed and for the road to go through Detroit. And he actually thought that maybe it was part of his fault that the Lions kind of crumbled a little bit at the end. Like, is he part of that because of the push? And is it better to be just let's be playing our best football going into the playoffs, whether that's on the road or that's at home? And I think that that's going to be vitally important this year, is to have that mindset, is that we need to be playing our best football in week 17, week 18, into the playoffs, rather than winning that number 1 seed. And whether success for me does not mean 15 games anymore. Success for me means playing our best football, getting into the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, Dan Campbell is, this is 6th year coaching Detroit Lions football, right?
I think it's 5th year. I think it's a 5th year. Yep.
5th year coaching Lions football. And it's kind of like when you become a parent, like you're learning on the fly. The second kid, it becomes a lot easier,
Mm-hmm.
And he's making his playoff push.
Mm-hmm.
He's learning from his mistakes. He's trying to figure it out. And, maybe he overdid something a little bit. Maybe he's going to underdo something a little bit, but they're really trying to figure it out. But I think the biggest thing is like the win-loss record in the regular season maybe doesn't mean as much as what we thought it did last year.
But it was, as fans, it was so much fun, because each and every week, man, we're in this, and this is ours to win, and obviously, I feel so much better, and I'm sure you do too, going in on a Monday after a late Sunday night game and having that win under your belt, rather than going into Monday at a late Sunday night game and having an L.
Well, I think we're still going to be feeling like we're in every game.
Yeah.
So whether we win every game, no, I don't think 15 wins is it's not on the bingo card. Okay, like I think the reasonable expectation for the Detroit Lions is to win. I think on the top end, maybe 11, 12, 13 games should be kind of that range of expectations with a really difficult schedule.
Sure.
And we're gonna have to ramp into that, right? Like that, we're not gonna be on track for that in the first 6-7 weeks. We're gonna feel like, oh, like this team could potentially miss the playoffs. That's gonna be the feeling. And let's replay this, in 6-7 weeks, because we're going to be feeling a little bit like tumultuous as fans. Like we haven't felt this way in 3-4 years, which is crazy because we felt this way for 20 years straight. But like front half is loaded with difficult games. The back half, there's a window there to kind of like build up your potential like lead in the division to kind of ramp up into the playoffs.
Yep.
So beat that one pretty good. Huh?
Yeah, we got it.
So, hey, around the NFL, we'll kind of go quick. Travis Kelce, he's in Brazil giving interviews, sitting with his old lady wearing a thong. And he's like, hey, a lot of premature talk about him retiring. I'm feeling pretty good, and I'm going to kick it maybe for a few more years, even though he's in the last year of his deal.
I mean, got him on my fantasy team, so maybe if he'll stick around a little bit more, it'll just give me a little extra run. So,
for the record, your fantasy team is garbage. All right, so let's talk about hot seat coaches a little bit.
All right,
some interesting ones. I kind of I looked at the list of names and teams, and you can disagree with me here, but I'm going to give you a few names, and you tell me, is he going to be the coach at the start of next year?
Okay.
All right. So Brian Callahan with the Titans. They just drafted Cam Ward, kind of resetting that whole program.
Yeah. If Cam Ward shows any success, he's good for another year.
All right. I agree. Raheem Morris, who's a gentleman of all gentlemen, a friend of the podcast.
Yeah.
Atlanta Falcons. A kind of a first-year starting quarterback as well. I think Penix had a few starts last year.
Towards the end of the season, yep.
The most experienced backup quarterback in all of the NFL. Who probably won't be on the team the whole year, but like,
I look at Raheem Morris, and again, I think unless something crazy happens, Penix is going to be serviceable, and Morris is going to have another job next year.
All right. Yeah. Yep. All right. So, we have the next one is a guy in a tough spot, Ryan Debo with the Giants. And he's a quarterback whisperer. Like, that's kind of his legacy, right? He's had that, but he's had nothing at quarterback, right? It's the equivalent of like going to
Russell
State
Wilson
University and looking for a girl, and it's like, dude, I'm a chick magnet, but you're looking around like, dude, like, I can't magnet nothing, right? This is construction people in golf, like, so like he's got Jackson Dart, like I don't know, kind of that back end of the first round. Is he going to be around?
I think, again, I don't think so. I think that they're going to cut ties. They're going to look for the newest, biggest, and best thing to revitalize New York and start over with Jackson Dart, next year. So
I think he'd be a hot commodity for a team to pick up as an offensive coordinator if that does happen. Shane Steichen with the Colts. Interesting. They went all in on a quarterback a couple of years ago, and now they've picked up the Giants' trash and are starting him out in front. And they drafted a tight end. It's an interesting situation going on with the Colts right now. Shane Steichen. Owner just died.
I think that itself might allow him for another year, but I think he's gone too. I think they start fresh with a new GM and new coach.
Okay, yeah, I agree there for sure. The next one is the most interesting one, man. It's the most Gen Z coach of all time.
Sure.
Mike McDaniel with Miami. Thoughts there? If
he doesn't make playoffs, and I think that's such a far-fetched idea, I don't think he's back.
Yeah. I tend to agree that I think he's gone, and I think potentially it could be the end of the Tua era down in
Right.
Miami as well.
Yes.
Also, they could blow that whole thing up,
Whole
right?
thing is
Like
going to get blown up.
they got a couple wild card guys on offense that they can say, "Hey, we're going to switch it up." But they got some pieces they can build around as well.
Sure.
Rules refresher: touchbacks this year.
Back to the 35.
Back to the 35, kind of interesting. Mahomes, he's chasing some all-time records right now. Speaking of the Miami Dolphins, but he's going after Marino for the most TDs before the age of 30. Going after Peyton for the most touchdowns in the first 9 years. Like he's kind of like on that track of kind of definite first ballot Hall of Famer, but like is he going to be listed in the Mount Rushmore of quarterbacks?
I mean, if you ask certain people, certain big heads, they're going to say, yeah. But I think it's going to be very contingent on the next few years of the Kansas City Chiefs. And you almost have this feeling of like a dip in what Kansas City is doing. But I mean, at any point, and I'm saying this after a Super Bowl, appearance last year. But you don't have the same glimmery, shiny feeling of the Kansas City Chiefs as you've had in years past.
Is it because we just get tired as like the general public of hearing the same names? Is that what's happening with the Lions right now? Like we're just getting the Lions were the Cinderella story, and now we're just getting tired of the big bad bully taking everybody's lunch money every single year, and we just want to root for the new up and coming team that had the shiny object or two that they added in the offseason.
I mean, the NFL loves parody. They love the new thing. They get you to buy their jersey and revitalize the next place to get you going there. I don't know. Are the Bills that this year? Is Green Bay that this year? Are the Baltimore Ravens that this year? In place of people like the Eagles or the Chiefs or even the Lions?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the name of it is, and if there's any teenage girls watching or 30-year-old girls watching, but like, there's this old movie. I think my wife used to watch it, but it's essentially it's called like 21 Dresses or whatever. But this girl she's just like no guy wants to marry her, right? And she just is the bridesmaid at every wedding, and she's just upset and like she can't figure her life out, and like nobody like. That's the Buffalo Bills.
Rob at this point is pretending like he doesn't love that movie. Okay, that's ultimately what he's doing right now. My wife watched it when she was 17, but the reality is that's like on his favorites on Netflix, right?
Hey, so she was real cute. I was like, hey, I would have married you, but like unfortunately, I'm already hitched over here. But no, I think the Buffalo Bills have been kind of the bridesmaid.
Sure,
and like
and they have been since the '90s, right? So. I'd love to see a Lions Bills Super Bowl. That would be my dream. So
I think most of this audience, if you want to revert back to the '90s, most of y'all were probably in your grandpa's balls in the '90s, right? So like let's go review some film. All right, the Bills lost 4 Super Bowls in a row, and
right.
They were the bridesmaids. All right, like lately they can't get past the Ravens, they can't get past the Chiefs, and the AFC is tough. But I just don't. I think they've put the proper pieces in place to kind of get over the hump.
Fair.
We're getting long here. Let's get into Bill's bullet points.
Bill.
I think Bill's taking his pickaxe and he's hitting some gold.
Right? Okay, so Bill today we were talking and I was pushing for him to be on this pod and at least show his face a little bit, but he's like, you know what? His anxiety is high right now. Games are here, and he loves this offseason. He loves the idea of preseason speculation, the draft, the preparations, all the things that we do leading into the season because you can spin it. You can make it great. Whether it's picking up Rock Ya-Sin or Avante Maddox or Grant Stewart and bringing them on the lines, we can twist that into what a great pickup for the Detroit Lions. Or Marcus Davenport's healthy again, and he is going to be the next shining thing. Or Aiden Hutchinson is we have the Hutch rule. All these things, leading into the season are great and exciting, and we have high expectations. We have high anticipation, but now the rubber meets the road. Now it's time to put up or shut up. Now the games are about to start, and it's going to get real. And the anxiety of us not reaching or meeting expectations or that anticipation, Bill is like, I don't know if he can handle it. He doesn't know if he can handle going back to the same old Lions where one year we were at the top, close to the top, the NFC Championship game, and the next year we're winning 6 games.
I mean, dude, like, come on, Bill. Like,
come on, Bill.
He reminds me of you go to the movie theater and you see this great movie, and your flubbering buddy's like, "Well, I liked everything, but I didn't like the ending. You know, like the build up." It's just like, dude, like that's the effing ending, man. Like that's. I know you didn't like that, but like part of that is the build up. It's dramatic, and they don't need you to like the ending because you want to know what, like, guys, like not everybody gets a trophy. Not everybody finishes in first place. Like this is a part of life,
and this is what makes this great. What makes being a sports fan great? It's all of that stuff, all the preparation, anticipation, and then seeing it come into fruition. And when it does that one time, even if it's just one time, in your lifetime, it makes it all worth it, right? Because you can then go back and talk about around the fire with your buddies and that cigar in your mouth and say, hey, you remember that one time?
Hey, we are all off-season national champions. Yeah! Let's just celebrate. Because you know what? Like, we all win in the offseason. We have optimism until, like, you get punched in your mouth and you're like, oh, shit. Like, I guess there's a few other teams that are pretty dang good, too.
But the reality is we're not the same old Lions. And we're going to be the one punching. So we better get ready to enjoy this ride because I have a good feeling that it's going to be special.
Also, we're going to get punched back. And, like, don't get it twisted, pimpin'. All right, we're going to get punched back here. And, like, it's not all rainbows and unicorn, all right? We're not going through the season, especially the early part of the season. Replay this part. The early part of the season, we could be 3-3 here, all right? And this could still be a Super Bowl championship football team. But this is a tough schedule. This team's built differently, and the goals are different than winning 15 games, all right?
The goals are definitely different than winning 15 games. The goals are not to get the first seed. It's to be better than we were in week 1 and week 17. It's to get into the playoffs healthy, and it's going to be to make a run.
So buckle up, Buttercup.
Let's go!
This is a great season, all right? So around the North, we already kind of hit it. Micah Parsons to the Packers, that's a problem. It's a near-term problem.
Yep.
Long-term, it's going to cause the Packers a little bit of difficulty with cap. Losing their defensive tackle, a couple first-round picks going later on. They're now the odds-on favorites to win the North, which is like, hey, I wish I can short that bet. Like, there's no way to do that, but like, feels like some good money here. But it didn't give the Lions better odds. It just like gave the Packers, upper odds. The Vikings and the Bears, they play each other week 1. Montez Sweat. A lot of pressure on him to be the guy. The Bears are probably a year or 2 or 4,
or a quarterback
coach and a quarterback away. Vikings, Darisaw, Harrison Smith out. Most likely going to be healthy most of the year. Vikings are still favorites. Who you like between the Vikings and the Bears? Obviously, the Bears are hosting the Vikings.
I am a big fan of the Vikings. I think their defense is better than the Chicago defense. I think their offense under JJ is still a question mark, but probably better than the Bears offense under Caleb Williams.
So I get a lot of shade from friends of the podcast sitting in the background, Christopher Robin and Snoozy back there. But like, I might be a JJ fan, but like
you are a little bit of a fanboy of JJ.
I don't know. So you just call it JJ over Caleb. I think that's interesting.
I may be a Caleb hater though, so there's that.
You're right, and I hear there's rumors that the Bears have banned the male cheerleaders from the Vikings to coming over because they don't want to distract the attention of Caleb Williams when he's trying to play football. I can't confirm or deny that.
Something said that. I'm not sure.
We've jumped the shark here. Hey, we're going to sign off here. Hey, Brian, you tell us where to follow us.
Hey, take a look. Hey, we have added Instagram. We have added TikTok. Follow us on X,
We got this
Blue
up here?
Sky. It's up there. Yeah. So take a look. It's, email us, obviously subscribe, like, and help us get on the algorithm. Anytime that you can help us get going in this, it's going to help us in the long run. So
yeah, we shouldn't wait till the last minute to tell you that. But if you're still watching it and you're not subscribed or you're not liking this, like, come on. Like, what's going on? We gave you a couple winners. You're going to make some money.
Let's go.
Gambler, but we really appreciate you. Thank you for passing time with us. I'm Rob.
I'm Brian.
This is episode 19. We'll see you back in a few days.
See ya.
Cheers.